Got some practice news and some somber injury news to share on today's show. But before we get going, I got to give a quick shout out to everybody who joined me this past Saturday for our Texans-Vikings preseason watch party. We had over 23,000 people join us for that watch party. We gained over 300 subscribers. So thank you to everybody who hit that sub button. And if you're brand new to the channel, we'll have a ton of more watch parties to come. Every single Texans game will be live, so make sure you hit that subscribe button for free Texans content all year long. On the docket for today, we have Texans injury news that will it might shock you a little bit. It might shake you up because I really am feeling for this one individual. We also have practice notes from today's practice, and then more Stafford injury news, because the Stafford saga continues to go on for the LA Rams. The Texans' Week 1 opponent, it looks like he might not be on the track to play Week 1. I'll get to that at the end of today's show. But Brevin Jordan carted off of today's practice, and according to multiple reports, it was an absolute emotional roller coaster scene during practice today where everybody was kind of shaken up around this Brevin Jordan injury. He was going over the middle for a pass from CJ Stroud, came down and originally was trying to get back up. It didn't seem like that too serious of an injury. And after a little bit, it became evident that he couldn't put any weight on his left leg, the same leg he injured last year in Week 2 up against the Chicago Bears before medical staff trainers had to come and attend to him. He was then put on the cart, carted off the field where he was, audibly emotional. He was crying. He was upset. He was screaming out more from what it seems like anger and frustration around this injury than the actual pain that the injury was causing him. But this one from DJ Bieniemy, tight end Brevin Jordan is hurt. It's not good. He went up to catch a pass, hurt his knee, which we actually don't know if it was his knee. It was just, reported as a leg injury as of right now. So don't want to, speculate anything before the actual results come out from all the testing they're going to be doing. He couldn't put any weight on it. He was carted off. He's legit crying loudly. He was shouting no. He tore his ACL last year. It's a very somber moment in the bubble today as the Texans were practicing indoors. And, your heart goes out to this guy because from every indication, he is a guy who is a locker room guy, who's a heart and soul guy, who's somebody who really uplifts everybody's spirit. Everybody has high praises for number 9, Brevin Jordan. And the Texans, they had so much confidence in him. They re-signed him right after he got injured last year. Technically, last year was the final year of his deal. They re-signed him to a 1-year deal to come back this season. And hopefully we don't see his season end before it even starts, just like last year, because I think this tight end room, how he was progressing, how he was looking throughout the offseason, he was going to be a major part of this offense. So spam those 9s. Keep Brevin in your thoughts and prayers today. Hopefully he's okay. We got some good news from C.J. Gardner-Johnson last week on his injury. Hopefully we get the same news with Brevin Jordan. And if you're watching this, Brevin, just know Texans fans, all of Houston Texans, fans out there, we're all behind you. We got your back. We are really hoping that you're able to come back this year. But if not, just know we all have you in our thoughts and prayers. And, it's tough. And I know this is going to be a tough battle once again. But just know you have the full support of all Houston Texans fans out there. We really are hoping and praying for you. And hopefully you get well soon, back on your feet. That's not the only injury news that we saw from Texans practice today. This a little less severe. This coming from Big Sarge. Texans offensive lineman Titus Howard limped gingerly heading into individual drills after going down during 11-on-11. Now, he was able to finish practice today, and all reports were it was just kind of like a banged up injury, but just something to watch out for. Titus Howard, in my opinion, the best Texans offensive lineman heading into this season, a vital part to making sure this offensive line is able to protect CJ Stroud going into 2025. So hopefully Titus Howard is okay. I'll keep you up to date with all the reports around him and Brevin Jordan throughout this week. More injury news, this time on the positive side. Activated off the PUP list, Foley Futakasi, Derek Barnett, 2 defensive linemen back in for the Houston Texans. They were able to practice today. Good sign for this Texans D-line. We haven't seen either of these guys so far, but, dealing with some nagging injuries in the offseason, now they are officially back to practice for the Houston Texans. Another guy who was back at practice, Nick Chubb. He was wearing the red non-contact injury jersey, though, so he suffered a concussion last week, is being kind of slowly worked back in to this Texans practice. Once again, he was in the red jersey, so non-contact. Whenever they went to team drills, he was not a part of it. But whenever it was just, 7-on-7 individual drills, him and Dameon Pierce were getting a lot of work with Texans running back coach Danny Barnett, which that brings me to this next point. Full participants today, Dameon Pierce, Christian Harris, they were able to practice today, even though we didn't see Dameon Pierce in the contact drills once again. It was Woody Marks. It was Daria Gumbawale taking, reps at with the ones today at practice. But good signs for Dameon Pierce, Christian Harris, that they are working themselves back into this Texans lineup. Now, coming up, practice notes from today's practice. Before we get going, great deal on these Texans cutoff hoodies. Was $55, now $33 when you use this link, chatsports.com/HOU cutoff sale. If you're looking for some more Texans gear to wear and you're trying to ball out on a budget, well, I got you covered right here. We got the best deals on the internet. This link right here, chatsports.com/HOU cutoff sale, will be in the comment section and description of today's video. Get it while the getting's good, because once they sell out of certain sizes, that's it. They're gone. So go here, make sure they have your size, and go get yourself a Texans cutoff hoodie today while supplies last. All right, let's go through the practice notes from today's practice and try to maybe get back into the positive side, because I know obviously the Brevin Jordan injury, all the injury news has a lot of Texans fans down today. Let's look at some positive things. Stroud maybe had his best practice today. He was visibly shaken up after the Brevin Jordan injury, but he continued to deal. He hit us 60-yard deep bomb to Jaden Higgins today. He had multiple touchdown passes, was connecting with Christian Kirk, with Nico Collins as well. He looked very good, very sharp at practice today. Definitely what you want to see out of your QB1. Maybe him being the 39th ranked player in the NFL top 100 maybe motivated him a little bit. And as I mentioned, that deep shot to Jaden Higgins, we also saw a deep shot from Davis Mills to John Mechie. The offense was airing it out today. They looked really good, being able to move the ball down the field. And along with that, the reason why they were able to take those deep shots, the offensive line looked really good today. And it was worth noting, Cam Robinson was not at practice, or he was not practicing today. He was at practice, not practicing. Ariante Ursery, left tackle, continues to impress a ton. The rookie looks fantastic. It was him, Laken Tomlinson, Jake Andrews. Ed Ingram was getting the starting reps at right guard. He was the highest graded Texan per PFF up against the Minnesota Vikings. And then Titus Howard was that right tackle. The offensive line looked good today. And with that, I will say, they look good. But Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter still got theirs. They looked good. They each got sacks today during practice. I think still will be one of the best pass rush duos in the entire National Football League. Whenever I say the O-line looked good, they looked good considering they were going up against one of the best pass rushes in the entire National Football League. And then lastly, as I mentioned, the team was shaken after the injury. D'Amico Ryans had to call the guys up multiple times after the injury to just say, hey, let's regroup. Let's make sure all of our heads are on straight, and let's move forward with practice. I've been in a game before where somebody had to get carted off, where the ambulance had to come whenever I was playing in high school. And it's a tough scene, and it's really hard to get back mentally into it after you see something like that, after you see one of your brothers go down, after you see one of your guys, one of your teammates get hurt. It's really hard to mentally get back into it and snap back into it and not be thinking about your friend, who's, hurt and who's going through this awful thing that he's going through. And obviously, CJ Stroud, he gets a lot of, jeers, this, that, and the other for how he handled the Tank Dell injury last year. He was visibly shaken up, had to be consoled by Dalton Schultz. But that didn't really affect his play. After that, he still threw a touchdown to Dalton Schultz, still looked good in practice. But it is to be noted, this team has dealt with a lot of injuries over the past year, and this one is another blow to this Texans roster. Now, coming up, let's talk about the injury front for who the Texans will be playing week 1, the LA Rams. I know I've talked a lot about Matthew Stafford and his injury, but it keeps on going. The saga continues. We all know he's been having to take those epidurals to just be able to practice, just to deal with the back injury. And by all reports, he was scheduled to practice today. But Sarah Bishop, who covers the Rams, tweeted this out today. QB Matthew Stafford is in street clothes and doesn't appear to be practicing today. Sean McVay previously said the plan was for Stafford to participate in individual drills today. He was not out there practicing. He was in street clothes. So that means for me, he's questionable week 1, especially if he's trying to take epidurals to get through this back injury, to be able to, get through it. There was also another report that Sean McVay was asked, could they consider another back surgery for Matthew Stafford? He said they had not contemplated it up to this point, but they will take it day by day with the Stafford injury. And somebody who I really like to follow on Twitter for these kind of injuries, Sports Injury Central. What are the best and worst case scenarios for Matthew Stafford in his ongoing back injury? Pro Football Doc breaks it down. He actually had a great video, and he gave a best case and a worst case. Best case was Phillip Rivers. But I also have to say, for Phillip Rivers, he had a bulging disc. And the difference between a bulging disc and a herniated disc is the herniated disc actually has a tear in it, where the bulging disc is where it's kind of strained and it's not torn yet, but it's getting to that point where herniated then than bulging. Phillip Rivers had a bulging disc, but he was able to do exactly what Stafford's doing right now. He during the 2014 season with the then San Diego Chargers, he had a bulging disc, was taking epidurals to get through the final weeks of the season, and was able to play all 16 games that year. Worst case scenario, though, he said, is Tony Romo, who did have a herniated disc, and we all know the story about Tony Romo. Was injured with that back. In comes 4th-round rookie Dak Prescott, and the Cowboys have never looked back since. That was the last time we saw Tony Romo hit the NFL football field. Now, best case, worst case, obviously, these are two very wide varying scenarios between Phillip Rivers, who played all 16 games, and Tony Romo, who ended up retiring. I don't know. I would lean more to the Phillip Rivers side, but once again, I said Phillip Rivers had a bulging disc. Apparently, for multiple reports, Matthew Stafford herniated disc. So there is some sort of tear in that disc that Matthew Stafford's dealing with that lower back injury. And with how the Texans defense looks, with this defensive line being able to get after the quarterback so much, I'm starting to believe that the Rams, even if Stafford is okay week 1, they maybe say, hey, let's just throw Jimmy G to the wolves. Let's make sure that Stafford is good. We want to make sure he's good for the end of the season and not get knocked out after week 1. So the likelihood that Stafford is playing week 1 at this point, I'd probably give it a 50-50 shot. That's all I have for you on today's show, folks. Make sure you hit me up on Twitter at Jeremy Chugs. And as always, if you made it to the end of today's video, hit that subscribe button for free Texans content all year long.